into the criminal law. Because this is what we need to do now, is look at the content of the report rather than who issued it. And this is, again, part of the cultural mindset change that I was talking about earlier. Mr. Guinina, and I'm not defending Mr. Guinina for any reason, but that he already issued reports before that were part of evidence against officials in Egypt. So it doesn't mean that he's always wrong, if we consider him wrong this time. So what I'm saying is, let's not question the credibility of the person. Let's look at the reports. These reports need to be investigated.
So in other words, you're saying we look at the content.
The content of the report. That's what I said.
In general.
Exactly. Look at the report. The report is legitimate, then drag all these people into the criminal court.
Instead of
absolutely. So let's not, and this is part of really how we handle things sometimes, is we look at the person, we don't look at the message. My concern here is that if the credibility of Mr. Guinina is questioned, and you kill the guy, kill his credibility and his name, now what?
Is that going to end the corruption?
No. And anybody who's going to come in his place, you're going to have exactly the same thing. People are saying, this guy is a drug dealer, this guy is a thief. And then it becomes totally, the whole context or the dealing with the matter becomes personal. I don't want to deal with it personal. Deal with it objectively. Here is the report. It was put forward to the president. And all I know about these reports are investigated. They are not accusations. The reports of the central agency are investigated reports. So if you're not happy with it, there's no problem. But then put to a panel of experts and then have the guy to defend it. If Mr. Guinina has evidence, then we go forward with it. People will be prosecuted. But don't shoot the guy and his reputation. And I think this is not going to solve the problem. We're going to continue like that. Freeing Mubarak was never questioned. Freeing corrupt officials was never questioned. Why are we questioning this?
And while we're saying this, we remember on many counts President Sisi himself in his speeches and several speeches inside the country and outside the country talking about corruption.
It's well known, Ms. Dina, we are one of the top corrupted countries, and it's not a secret. And probably some people saying it might be on
many times he has been talking about reformation of many sectors in the
why President Sisi really signed off the Law 18 for 2015? For the same reason, because he knows there's corruption. There is corruption.
And the head of the state himself is with the idea of fighting corruption.
He acknowledged there is corruption. So we know that.
That doesn't mean that there is no corruption at all.
Absolutely.
Of course. That doesn't mean any bad or...
I thank you for that, because my worry here is that if we, or people or the media, focus on the personality of Hisham Guinina, the whole corruption issue will be put aside. And it becomes a personal fight. And one of the things that also was mentioned about it, that he made use of a foreign entity to help him with the reports. There's nothing wrong with that. President Sisi, when the British Foreign Affairs or the British National Security required an inspection of Sharm el-Sheikh report, he allowed them. So there's nothing wrong with using foreign entities. If we don't have the experience, we get people to help us. So let's not focus on petty things, and in the end, the case will be lost. The case here is we are in a very poor situation economically. Corruption is causing Egypt quite a lot. So let's not focus on the person, focus on the content of the report.
Right. We have with us also over the phone live Dr. Mohammed Fouad, a new member of the parliament. Good evening, Dr. Fouad. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Fouad. We were talking about the different issues that unveiled with the unfolding of the first session or the very first sessions of the new parliament, but also Egypt was also surprised with halting the live transmission of the sessions of the new parliament, and there was a lot of debate and reservations about halting these sessions, and some people charged that it's a violation of democracy and transparency to halt or stop the transmission, the live transmission. But some people said it's good. So if you can elaborate on that, please, as a member of parliament.
Okay, it was basically how it's transpired is few.
If you can speak up, please. Right.
Yes, I'm saying few MPs have submitted a request to stop the airing of the sessions for the first sessions because at the time they felt that it was disorganized in the first session and they feared they were projecting the wrong image. However, stance and Al-Waqf Party stance is that we reject such notion. We do believe that the public has the right to see the true and full picture. Even as we start in the new parliament, it is less than perfect. I believe that in the coming weeks, as we get through the hump of the 15 days when we need to get the committees going and discuss the laws, we will get to a time where things will run a lot smoother than what was aired in the first session.
Right. Dr. Fayed, the Committee on Manpower rejected the Civil Service law after discussion in the attendance of Minister of Planning, Ashraf Al-Arabi. So if you can elaborate also on that, because this was mentioned in the headlines in the news today.
That is correct. This is exactly what has happened. It's been going on since yesterday. Lots of deliberations on this law. As you know, and maybe some of the viewers know that as well, it's one of the highly contested laws due to few clauses that would make this law a little bit harsh in a lot of the civil servants and public employees, specifically when it has to do with areas such as promotions, performance appraisals, and evaluation. A lot of people felt that these areas are not just, and they do require a lot of review. So I do confirm that this law has been rejected.
Right, Dr. Mohammed Fouad, Member of the Parliament, thank you very much for your time, sir. And unfortunately, you have less than 4 minutes. If we could still elaborate on your assessment of the very few sessions that were held ever since January 10th.
I think the economic laws, I agree that they should all be endorsed because we don't have really time to go over them again.
We haven't, unfortunately, had time to review the laws, the packages of laws, including the anti-terrorism.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the actual clause that basically forces the Parliament to endorse all of them within 2 weeks or reject them.
That's also a problem.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to go through the circle from the beginning. But at this point, I don't think we have the time or the liberty to actually do that. I do have some concern about the law of the civil servant. I think the law is a good step towards basically ending the corruption in the public sector, basically forcing, and I want people to excuse me for the word, forcing is basically getting the civil servant to do their job. Because at this point, the civil servants in Egypt are double the size that we need, and more than double the size that we need. We've got a problem with the promotion because it's all nepotism and corruption. We've got a problem with appointment. It's all again nepotism and corruption. And we've got a problem with basically the variable income. Basically, that's part of the income. So what I think is the law of the civil servant 18 for 2015, I think it's a good start. And my worry is that if it gets rejected, we're going to go through the whole process again. And then the civil servant need to understand that, yes, you should be evaluated by your customer. Yes, you should be evaluated by people under you, people around you, and the people above you. Right. So there's no biasness whatsoever in this law, and I think it's a good step.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time. Dr. Emad Mehana, a professor of political science and a political analyst, thank you very much.
Thank you very much
for your valuable input. And I guess this brings us to the end of this edition of Windows on Current Affairs. Thank you very much for joining us. Please do join us again next week. Until then, that's a goodbye.